In today's Star Wars News Roundup, the first clip and some major interviews drop for The Mandalorian Season 3. We're about to get a major announcement regarding the next Star Wars movie, and more Andor Season 2 filming locations surface. Let's get into it. The countdown is truly on for The Mandalorian Season 3, as we are just over a week out from the premiere. The promotional campaign for the third season has been ramping up in recent weeks, with various television spots dropping and interviews with magazines hitting shelves. On Thursday, the official Star Wars social media platforms dropped the first official clip from The Mandalorian Season 3, as in part of a scene rather than an edited trailer. The clip opens with Greef Karga offering Din Djarin and Grogu a place to stay on the thriving Nevarro. Mando rejects the offer presented by Karga, which confuses the Magistrate of Nevarro, who questions Din on why he's still traveling with Grogu, who's using the Force to spin around in a chair. Like anyone who didn't watch the Book of Boba Fett, Karga believed the Mandalorian had completed his quest and returned Grogu to the Jedi. Din explains that though he fulfilled his quest, Grogu returned to him, and in the process, he removed his helmet, which made him an apostate. As Grogu eyes up the snacks on Karga's desk, Greef again attempts to convince Din to stay on Nevarro, where he'd be landed gentry and not an apostate seeking redemption. This clip almost certainly takes place within the first couple of episodes, and before Din makes his journey to the destroyed planet of Mandalore. Maybe Din will end up taking on a job for Greef Karga, just like old times. One person who certainly won't be there, however, is, of course, Cara Dune. Another major event in the continued ramp-up of The Mandalorian Season 3 marketing is a new release of Empire magazine. The new issue features a darksaber-wielding and helmetless Din Djarin, Bo-Katan Kryze, and Grogu. An Empire magazine members edition was also released, which featured a hologram of several different Mandalorian helmets. Many fans began to point out those which closely resemble the helmets of Boba Fett, Casca Reeves, and Sabine Wren, although all of which were later disproven, but that doesn't necessarily mean we won't be seeing these characters. One thing's for certain is that we are going to see a ton of Mandalorians this season, with Pedro Pascal recently reiterating the scale of this season.
There will be more Mandalorians.
All right, that's good. I'll take that.
A lot of them. Big, epic battle. Plural.
In an interview in that Empire issue, the actor also discussed what it's like to wear the Mandalorian armor. Pascal specifically discussed how the helmet's visor remains as impractical as it is badass, saying, "They've continued to finesse and make it more comfortable, but it's like going blind. Your breath completely fogs up the narrow slit that you can see through. There's no peripheral vision. If there's a hole, I'm gonna fall into it." Things aren't always so bad though, as the actor went on to say, when it's on, you immediately feel powerful, protected, dangerous, and like a protector. The magazine also revealed new, never-before-seen Mandalorian concept art of Grogu chasing after these crab-like creatures. Here's to seeing if he'll attempt to eat one of them. A highlight for many in this edition of Empire magazine are a pair of interviews with Mandalorian writers Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. Jon Favreau discussed the controversial decision of reuniting Din Djarin and Grogu in the Book of Boba Fett after Luke Skywalker had just taken him during the Mandalorian Season 2's finale. Favreau said, quote, "It's going to be interesting to see how this unfolds for some people who may not have seen the Book of Boba Fett, but I think the Book of Boba Fett offered time to pass. You saw what Mando was like without Baby Yoda, and we saw what Grogu was like without the Mandalorian, and neither of them was doing too good. So them coming back together was a really good plot point that allows us to jump back into Season 3 while maintaining the central relationship. I think he had to service both things. Just because this kid has the potential and had the training, does he belong away from the Mandalorian? I saw it more like Paper Moon, where the whole thing is about delivering the kid to the blood relative, only to realize that, whether genetically through her father or just through bonding, Tatum O'Neal has to end up with Ryan O'Neal. That ending feels really good to me, and this little kid is given a decision to choose, and the kid chooses the emotional relationship and wants to be with the Mandalorian and passing up Yoda's lightsaber. Part of you wants to see him develop in that way, and part the other. You have this interesting character who has Jedi training to some extent, Force abilities, but also is joining the Mandalorian culture, which we've established is something that you can opt into. It demands a lot, it offers a lot. Historically, Mandalorians developed all of those tools and armor and weapons to be able to counteract the Force abilities of Jedi. So as a storyteller, this offers tremendous opportunity. Now, was it really Favreau's call to reunite Mando and Grogu so soon, or did Disney step in and tell him to do that? That's one question we'll probably never have answered. Filoni's interview was a little less specific, discussing how producing the Clone Wars influences his storytelling while making the Mandoverse shows. Filoni compared the impending doom of Revenge of the Sith and Order 66 to the rise of the First Order, which is still to come after The Mandalorian on the timeline. Filoni said, "There's a big question at the end of Season 2 of what will Mando do next? Is that relationship over? In life, things don't always come to a perfect ending. I think things can continue on, and your adventure continues every day. I used to think about it with Clone Wars all the time. When is that battle over? When is that struggle over? Because it culminates in Revenge of the Sith, but that can't be the ending for that show, even though that's the ending of that era. That took a while to figure out. I think that in some ways you want each season to have a feeling of an ending, but in a lot of what I've done, I don't like hard endings. I like reading books in a series and then thinking, oh, there's another book, and this is gonna keep going. It's always sad for me when an adventure ends and the characters are seemingly done with their journey. So I think there's always that little bit of hope that something can continue, and things are far from over. With Season 3 about to begin and a likely Season 4 to follow, alongside Ahsoka and Skeleton Crew later this year, the Mandoverse is just getting started. All signs point to the fact that we'll soon be getting a major announcement regarding the next several years' worth of Star Wars movies, as the franchise prepares to make its return to the big screen for the first time since The Rise of Skywalker in 2019. Disney CEO Bob Iger's first quarterly report was released on February 8th, with the company commenting that they'll continue to lean into IPs like Star Wars, Marvel, and Avatar. This also comes as Marvel Studios head Kevin Feige, who happens to be also developing a Star Wars project, told Entertainment Weekly in a recent interview that the MCU will be adjusting their pace for projects' releases. During its Phase 4, Marvel Studios released an insane total of 18 projects across both movies and television. For comparison, Phase 3 consisted of only 11 movies, which released between 2016 and 2019, with about 3 per year. For comparison, 2021 alone saw the release of 5 Disney Plus series and 5 movies. That's nearly as many titles as all of Phase 3. A lot of fans have felt that it's simply too much, with the MCU prioritizing quantity over quality. Now, we are a Star Wars channel, so let's shift focus back to a galaxy far, far away, where we've had the opposite problem. There hasn't been a Star Wars film released since 2019, with so many false starts that haven't materialized. Unlike Marvel, Star Wars needs to ramp up that quantity, but crucially ensure it doesn't come at the expense of quality. We knew the break from the big screen would be coming for Star Wars, with Iger telling us the franchise would focus on television after the controversial sequel trilogy. In the meantime, they've been internally developing a few projects, and following a few bumps along the way, it seems we'll finally be getting that film announcement at Star Wars Celebration in London. This much is clear to everybody, from insider reporters like Jeff Snyder to Iger himself. Disney is absolutely determined on having a Star Wars film in theaters by December of 2025, after pushing back from the 2023 release date. But which film will that be? And what's to come after? Surely they aren't stopping at just one. Right now, the film that seems to be on track to hit that release date is the Damon Lindelof co-written, Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy directed feature, which the company has apparently been developing for well over a year and could be shooting as soon as this summer. Speculation has it that Aquaman star Yahya Abdul-Mateen II may be involved as the male lead. The story will be set in the post-Rise of Skywalker times and is expected to launch a new era of Star Wars films. The Lindelof film will be a standalone movie with sequels possible depending on reception, and sequel trilogy characters could possibly show up, but that's not guaranteed. The Hollywood Reporter also states that the film directed by Thor Ragnarok and Thor Love and Thunder's Taika Waititi is still happening. And that's good news, because we've had zero updates on it in quite some time. Since its announcement, we've had minor updates over the years. Initially, the project was due to release in 2025, and Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy showed a logo for the film along with a piece of concept art for the flick at the end of 2020 during Disney's Investors Day. Since then, Waititi has only said that he's still working on the project. Kennedy revealed that the movie was due to release in late 2023, replacing Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron, which had been indefinitely delayed. However, the director of the project played down this claim by Kennedy and said a decision wouldn't be made until he handed in his script, which at the time he had not done. Obviously, since then, the 2023 Star Wars movie slot was pushed back by 2 years, and the Lindelof movie started gaining a crazy amount of momentum as Lucasfilm's new top priority. It's clear that Waititi's movie will now play second fiddle to the Lindelof film, but both are reportedly still happening. Waititi's movie could perhaps follow Lindelof's in 2026 or 2027. Both Jeff Snyder and The Hollywood Reporter, among other trusted sources, continue to reiterate that the next Star Wars film slate will be revealed at Celebration, which, by the way, is just over a month away. The event sounds like it will be monumental for the future of the franchise, with perhaps up to the next 5 years worth of movies announced, along with undoubtedly more information on the television side of things. Shifting focus over to Andor Season 2, where principal photography and filming continues in the UK. Last week, Bespin Bulletin broke the news that the series was filming at the McLaren Technology Center, the location used in Season 1 for the Coruscant spaceport when Cyril Karn strutted through that location. This week, a YouTuber by the name of UnboxPhD shared photos of leads Diego Luna and Stellan Skarsgård on set as Cassian Andor and Luthen Rael. Though they did not partake in the scenes being shot between Luna and Skarsgård, supporting cast members Adria Arjona or Bix Colleen, Kyle Solar or Cyril Karn, and Denise Go, aka Dedra Miro, are all said to be in London for the filming of Andor's second season. Bespin also shared images of another set under construction at the Barbican estate in London. During the first season, the Barbican was used to film scenes featuring Clea Markey and Vel Sartha meeting on Coruscant following the events of Aldhani. Andor has now returned to the Barbican estate, where an eagle-eye fan spotted a store of some kind being built with Arabesh text on a sign translating to Samo's Deli Grocery. For the first season, the production took place primarily at Pinewood for around 2 months, before venturing to the huge Little Marlow set, which was used as Ferrix, and then darted to various spots across England and Scotland. The second season of Andor seems to be following the same timeline, moving beyond the walls of Pinewood Studios, following its first couple of months of principal photography. The second and final season of Andor is due to continue filming up until August of this year, and seems to be a lock for a 2024 release, alongside The Acolyte, probably in the fall, just like Season 1. But that about does it for today's weekly Star Wars News Roundup video. If you did enjoy, make sure to click the like button, and subscribe if you are new to join the Red Squadron. Until next time, thank you so much for watching, and may the Force be with you. Red 5 standing by.